What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Goggins here with another episode of the Clippers Latest, where we talk all things LA Clippers quick, fast, and to the point. How are y'all doing today? I hope that you guys have had an amazing day. Um, I hope that you are having a better day than I am. I'm having an okay day. I decided to go hooping with my homeboys yesterday, and I think I'm reaching unk status, y'all. I need to start stretching before I start playing basketball. I'm over here aggravating my back. I don't even know what's going on, but my back's been killing me all day, and it's been tough just moving around. But we move. This is temporary, and we're also not here to talk about my back. We're here to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers, and with that, I want to get straight into it. I want to talk about the potential lineups that we have. We talked a lot about lineups yesterday, but I want to talk about the options that we have for these lineups, and I want Ty Lue, if you're listening to this, which I doubt you are, I want you to, see the vision. Obviously, we have our starting five our most likely starting five, which is what I think will be James Harden at the point, Bradley Beal at the two, Kawhi at the three, John Collins at the four, and then Zoo at the five holding down the paint. And then, coming off the bench, we'll have CP3. We'll have Brook Lopez down at the center position. We'll probably have some type of mix of Batum, Bogdanovich, Chris Dunn. Probably that second string providing some depth with a little bit of Derrick Jones Jr. here and there. But we'll just have to see. I'm not sure what if I don't know if that's set in stone, but that's my assumption. That's what I think that Ty Lue is gonna do. Even though I was really advocating for that Chris Paul starting spot and having James Harden move to the two, having Bradley Beal move to the bench, but I don't know. I don't know if it'll be an ego thing. I don't know if it'll be just this isn't what's gonna work. We need Chris Paul leading the second unit type of thing, which I understand. I don't know. I think that there would be more opportunity for Bradley Beal to score coming off of the bench, if you get what I'm saying here. Because if you think about it, if Chris Paul and James Harden start, only one of them is going to come out in that first quarter. Ty Lue's not pulling both of them. Because I spent last video talking about Ty Washington Jr. I don't think that Ty Lue is going to give him a shot off rip. This is my thoughts, starting off the season, in October, what the lineups are going to look like. I think that there is potential for Chris Paul to stay on the floor with the second group. If need be, he can bring James back in. Chris Dunn can also run point. So there's that right there. And I think that Bradley Beal would be able to thrive more in terms of scoring if he was on that second unit. I think that it would kind of get crowded and it would turn to a situation similar to what he had last season in terms of being behind two predominant scorers and people that need the ball in their hands all the time in Kawhi and James Harden. But what do I know, right? I think that Ty Lue needs to take note of that. But, we'll see what ultimately happens. Like I said, I think that you can go with the classic Harden, Beal, Kawhi, Collins, and Lopez, or with Zoo. You can kind of switch Lopez and Zoo because Lopez, he spreads the floor. Zoo's going to be more aggressive down in the paint, but if you're trying to run a 5 out, 4 out, 1 in maybe type of deal, keep Collins in, keep Lopez out. Lopez push to the corner. That's a corner three right there. He can knock him down or at the top of the key. Just do some rotations. And I think those are things to consider. I think that a bench spark lineup could consist of some variation of Chris Paul, Chris Dunn. Two Chris's. I didn't even think about that. C and K. All right. My bad. We got Bogdan that could run the 3. We got Batum that could run the 4. And then, again, Lopez running that 5. Or we could have Derrick Jones Jr. We have a lot that we can do. We also have a defensive switch unit that we need. That if need be, we can run that. Kawhi, Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn. John Collins, Zubac, just locking down everything, anything coming in there. You know, I think that Ty Lue, I think he's open to the idea of experimenting, seeing what works. I feel like that's what the beginning of the season is about, seeing what lineups work well. Because that's what, at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. It's not even about having your best players always on the floor at all times. It's about who works well together and who's able to play as a team, play off of each other. It's all about that cohesiveness. And I think that's what will really display success over just having, your three best scorers on the floor at one time. I think that it's a game of chess and not checkers. But Ty Lue is an NBA coach, and I'm not. So this is just something that I see as a fan, as a potential opportunity. But, I don't know. But what I do want to think about is what these lineups are going to look like, not just on the court, but, well, it is literally on the court. I'm talking about the jerseys that they'll be wearing. So obviously they're going to wear their normal jerseys, but I did come across something saying that they may be wearing these. Wait, hold on. You might not. These jerseys right here. If you can't tell, they are the LA Brave, or they are the Buffalo Braves colorway with the LA logo on them. Which, how do you guys feel about that? I'm gonna hold it up again. I know it's hard for you to see, but what do you guys think about that colorway? It's orange, black, and white. And that's the color that, the Buffalo Braves wore back in the day. Back in the day. I'm not crazy about it. I'm not crazy about the colorway, but I think the logo is tough. I think that it's tough. I just don't know how I feel about the orange. Like, let's leave the Braves back in the 70s. I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater. Maybe I'm in the minority with this. Again, you guys tell me what you guys think, but I don't know. I really enjoyed these City Edition jerseys. I also enjoyed these baby blue jerseys. I think the baby blue goes tough. I think that goes hard. I would like to see those make a return. But these, I don't know. I hope that this is a 1 or 2 time thing out of the 82 games that we play. I'm just not, I don't know. I'm just not sold on them. But like I said, I'm a self-proclaimed hater. So maybe I'm just hating and I don't see the vision yet. Maybe I need to see them on the court. Maybe they could bring them out during the in-season tournament or something like that. For one game. Just one. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about those jerseys, but I will tell you about a jersey that I would be interested in seeing on the court this season, but maybe not necessarily on the court, but rather in the rafters. Yeah, that's right. Should the Clippers retire Blake Griffin's jersey, yo? I'd have to think so. I don't know. I feel like it's only right, y'all. Like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I feel like it's only right that they do. Like, Blake Griffin, although he may not have won, he may not have led the Clippers to any, finals runs or anything like that. He wasn't even part of that Western Conference Finals team that made it in 2021. But when you think Lob City, who do you think of? The first face that comes to mind is Blake Griffin. Y'all, you're lying if you're saying he's not. Obviously, Chris Paul is the one that's throwing the lobs. DeAndre Jordan had one of the best posters ever on Brandon Knight. But Blake Griffin, you knew he was throwing down every game. It was, man, people were so excited to go to Clippers games at one point in time just because they wanted to see Blake Griffin post or something. He was always going to bring that highlight reel energy to a game, and I feel like that's something that's overlooked in basketball, especially nowadays. We have super athletic guys. But everything is so technical nowadays. Blake Griffin was an anomaly at the time. there weren't too many guys jumping out the gym in the way that he was, and it wasn't as common as it is today. There are a lot of guys that have crazy posters. You know what I'm saying? We got Ant, we got Ja, we got Shaden Sharp, we got dudes that are going to have their posters, but like nobody like has come up with like a name for that era. You know what I'm saying? Since Lob City, like they were defined by dunks, and a lot of that was led by Blake Griffin. And I really think that he earns his flowers. And if that's not enough for you, here are his accolades. He was a 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-Pro. He was a Rookie of the Year, All-Rookie team, of course. And he's second all-time in Clippers scoring behind Randy Smith, who was with, not to mention again, but the Buffalo Braves. And when they turned into the San Diego Clippers, and he was with them in the 70s. So in terms of the Los Angeles Clippers, Blake Griffin is the leading scorer, if we're talking about the Los Angeles Clippers specifically. But in franchise history is Randy Smith. Shout out Randy Smith, man. But I really think that he deserves it. He was top 3 in rebounds and minutes played. I don't know. I think that he put the Clippers on the map, and he, like I said, brought that energy to every game. Look, I'm about to say something that might be deemed controversial. If Vince Carter can make the Hall of Fame, Blake Griffin should get his jersey retired. That's all I'm going to say. No, that's not all I'm going to say. Because I'm not here to hate on Vince. Vince was a phenomenal player, and he had, excellent years in Toronto and New Jersey. But what was he most known for? Dunking. In-game dunk contest. Blake Griffin also did and was very successful in. I know y'all remember him jumping over that car. And I don't want to hear, oh, he only jumped over the hood of the car. It wasn't even the whole car for real. Man, can you do it? Can you do it? I didn't think so. That's still very impressive. I don't care what you have to say. I think that he could still jump over, the entire car. But at the end of the day, it's a dunk contest. That's a little more risky. If you're getting hurt at a dunk contest, I don't know if that's something that you would want to risk, especially being as important to your team as you are. As somebody that has literally broken a knee dunking in front of a crowd for something that didn't matter, it was not a game or anything, I'm not blaming him for that. But no, for real, I really do think that, he brought that life to the Clippers, and I think that he brought a lot of eyes to Lob City. He's the leading force, and I really do think that he deserves it. Even without a title, he defined a generation of Clippers basketball, like the whole 2010s era. Obviously, it's Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, but Blake Griffin was a huge part and really the face of that trio. And I think that he deserves his credit for it. I would say that he, deserves it the most. But, Chris Paul still exists. But Chris Paul's still playing. So, given the players that have retired already, that have played for the Clippers in recent seasons, I don't think there's anybody else that deserves it more than him. I think that he should get it. Nobody is retired. Nobody has been retired by the Clippers before. And I think that it would be very appropriate if he was the first to be the one to get his jersey retired. I think that it would be really cool. I think it would mean a lot to him. And I think it would mean a lot to the city of L.A. Well, half of L.A., the real L.A. People that, know what's up. But I just think that I think that he deserves it. But, we're talking about Clippers legends of the past, but I want to take a quick peek into the future. Now, this is going to seem a little out the blue, out of nowhere, but it was something that I came across, and I was like, that's not bad. And, of course, I'm saying, of course, like this is something obvious, but what if we tried to make a stride for Moses Moody at the trade deadline? Obviously, I don't think it'll happen before the season, but I think that it's something that we could look at. I know. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. He's with the Warriors right now, playing the three, but he's not starting. Especially he was only sometimes starting while Wiggins was still there, but now Jimmy Butler is there, so he definitely not starting. And then there's still this whole thing with Kuminga. We don't know what's going on over there with him, but he's been playing behind Kuminga as well sometimes. This last season was weird for them, but I don't know. But Moody is a 23-year-old 6'6" wing, 3-and-D ability. He's one of those players. I feel like I just said this about somebody else, and I promise I'm not trying to say this about everybody, but he's one of those players that you would love to have on your team because he will contribute. He will give you what he's there to give you every night. Like, he's one of the more consistent role players out there and one of the more underrated role players out there. You know, he's averaged around 9 to 10 points per game so far in his career, 37% from three, which is, decent. And like I said, he has good length on defense. You know, he has a very long. I don't know what his wingspan is, but he got some long arms. He be in the passing lanes. He can get steals, breakaways, fast break, Lob City 2.0. I see it in the future right now, and I need y'all to see a vision, because I don't think the Warriors see the vision. I don't think they've utilized. I don't think they've utilized him well, or at least in the way that I think that they should. Ever since he was drafted in 2021. Like, we've seen flashes, that we've seen these, spurts of potential, and he's been one of the more consistent young guys out of the group. But for whatever reason, Steve Kerr just doesn't believe in him enough to let him play every game. Like, he received a lot of DNPs last season, a lot of spot minutes, which is when you are either in the game up by 20 or down by 20 with 5 minutes left to go in the game with the scrubs, basically. And Moses Moody is not a scrub. So with the Warriors treating him as such, like I said, looking in the future, the asking price for him could be low. And I think that we may be able to get off at the trade deadline, of course. Obviously, that's a long time from now. That's not until February. So, we might come out and, he has a breakout season for the Warriors and they don't trade him, or they don't, want him to go anywhere. I don't know. I'm just looking in the future. I see potential, but, I don't know. I think that he's somebody that can bring a lot of spacing. He could bring some defensive versatility and youth. Like I said, he's only 23 years old, like Ty Washington Jr. Shout out Ty Washington Jr. The young guys on an old team can bring some flashes. They can bring that energy that we may need to compete with these other younger teams, especially once the playoffs hit. But, that's a very, very specific take. But like I said, I saw it somewhere and it made me think, this is actually something that could work, because I feel like he could play off of Kawhi and Beal. I feel like that would give him opportunities. James Harden would be able to facilitate, find him. He's kind of bouncy. I wouldn't call him a lob threat, but he can get up there if he need to. Shout out little Moses, man. And I don't know. I see potential in Moses, and the Warriors didn't appreciate him, so let us appreciate him. Let's work something out here. But I don't know. I just see potential there. But, well, what do I always say? Time will tell. But that's going to do it for this episode of Clippers Latest. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think that the primary lineup should be this season. What rotations you think will work best in what scenarios. Obviously, these will vary by team that we play against. If we play against a bigger team, we could run a double big lineup with Lopez and Zoo down on the block. And, having James Harden run point, Kawhi and Collins at the 3, Kawhi at the 2. Or if we need to run small ball, we got CP3, Chris Dunn, Bradley Beal, Kawhi at the 4, John Collins at the 5. We have options. And I don't think people are realizing that we have a very deep roster and we have a lot of things that we can do with that roster. But time will tell. But yeah, let me know what you think about those potential lineups. Let me know what you think about that LA jersey that's, paying tribute to the Braves. Am I tripping? Am I being a hater? Am I over exaggerating? Or are they just not that good? They remind me of like the Connecticut Sun, which it works for them because like when I think of sun, I think orange or like yellow maybe, but like the Connecticut Suns jersey, Connecticut Suns jersey works for what their team mascot is, but LA Clippers, like I don't know, like I don't think orange when I think that. I know that it's a tribute to what the team used to be. I just don't. I don't know. Let me know if you think that Blake Griffin deserves to get his jersey retired. I feel like you guys should agree. It's a biased take. His initials BG. I'm BG as well. Light skinned dude with the reddish hair. You know what I'm saying? Like the freckle. There's a lot of commonalities in between the two. So I could be slightly biased, but I do think that he meant a lot to this organization, and I do think that he deserves his flowers for it. But again, you let me know in the comment section, and then let me know. Am I thinking too specific with this Moses Moody acquisition at the deadline, or is that something that we could potentially look into and thrive off of and, give us that push for that long March stretch of 18 games that we going to have? Sorry, that still ain't sitting right with me. I don't agree with that, but it is what it is. But make sure you guys drop a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button if you so wish. That's all I'm going to say, and that's going to do it for today. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Always keep it easy.